everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making some coconut sablés. So a sablé is a French butter biscuit, nice and light and buttery, very good, and I'm going to put some sweetened coconut in mine, and I'm using shredded coconut which I have chopped quite finely, but you could use desiccated coconut, and I'll explain a bit about that a bit later on. So it's actually quite a simple recipe. We make the dough, divide it in two, create a couple of 6-inch logs, wrap them in plastic wrap and chill them until they're set firm. You can put them in the freezer to speed up that process, but chill them till they're set firm. Then we cut them into slices and put a little bit of egg white over the top and sprinkle more coconut on, then bake them. That's all there is to it. So I'll go on to the ingredients. And for this I have 210 grams, which is 1 1/3 cups of plus 1 tablespoon of plain flour. That's based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. I have 66 grams, 1/3 cup of caster sugar, 140 grams, 10 tablespoons of softened unsalted butter. I have a good pinch of salt, 5 millilitres, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I have here 60 grams of coconut. As I said, this is shredded sweetened coconut, and I've chopped the shreds up smaller basically. I've divided it into two, half to go into the dough and half to sprinkle over the top or thereabouts. I also am going to use the white of 1 egg with a little bit of water to brush over the top before I bake them and put the coconut on and bake them. So the first thing I should say I also have the yolk of a hard-boiled egg. That's a medium egg, large in the USA. I've hard-boiled it and I've just kept the yolk basically, and that's going to go into the cookie dough to help make it lovely and soft. So the first thing I'm going to do is to cream the butter and the sugar together with the egg yolk. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pass the egg yolk through a sieve or a tea strainer or something like that. So I have a tea strainer here, and I'm just going to press the egg yolk through it as best I can, breaking it up into small pieces. Now, I think you could actually potentially put this in a processor with the sugar and blitz it. You can also make a very nice tart crust using egg yolk as part of the base as well. Makes it nice and crumbly. That's good. So I'm going to cream these together until everything is nice and fluffy and pale. So that's good enough like that. And I'm going to put the salt in at this stage and the vanilla extract, and I'm going to whisk it again. And that's good. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put half of the coconut into my flour. And as I said, this is sweetened coconut. Now, if you use desiccated coconut, which will work fine, that tends to be unsweetened. So what you could do, if you wanted to, is to toss it in a tablespoon of icing sugar or confectioner's sugar. That will coat the coconut just a little bit with sugar, giving it a little bit of sweetness. And that would work fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour that flour and coconut into the butter mixture, and I'm simply going to mix it on a low speed, scraping the bowl as I need to, until I compress it into a nice dough. So that's good enough like that, and I'm just going to scrape the excess off the whisks like that, and then I'm going to use my spatula to scrape the bowl and form this into a dough by pressing it basically. And that's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide that into 2 equal sized pieces. So I just divide that, and it's going to work out at about 231 grams each. So that's the amount I need for one piece, and I'm going to flatten that until it's about 6 inches in length, which is 15 centimetres. Like that, and then I'm going to roll it into a log basically. Just like that, and I'm going to do the same with the other piece, and I'm going to put that in the fridge and chill it, and as it becomes firmer I'm going to roll it again just to get it rounder, as round as I can, and I want it to set firm so that I can slice it easily. So that's going to take maybe 2 or 3 hours in my fridge. It depends on the temperature of your fridge, but once it's all nice and firm and easy to be sliced, I would come back and we'll go on to the next step. And at that stage, I will have lined some baking trays with parchment paper, and I will have preheated my oven to 180 degrees Celsius. That's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit, and we'll be ready to slice the dough, brush them with egg white, put the coconut on top and bake them. So I've left my cookie dough or biscuit dough in the fridge, and it's set quite firm now, which is good. And I took it out and rolled it a little bit just to make it slightly rounder. It doesn't really matter if it's not round, but that's what I've done. And I have my oven preheating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slice this. I'll just take off the end to start with. And I'm going to slice it into about 1/4 inch slices, just like that. As I say, you can see it's not perfectly round, but that's fine. And I'm doing this by eye, but you could measure it if you wanted to. And that's good enough. And then I'm going to put those onto a baking tray, which I've lined with parchment. And I'm going to leave probably about 1 inch gap between them, so that they can spread as they cook, like that. And I've got more baking trays ready. So then what I'm going to do is I have beaten my egg white with about a teaspoon or so of water, and I'm just going to brush that on the top of each one. Like that. And then I'm going to take some of the remaining coconut and sprinkle that on the top as well. As much or as little as you want, basically. And then I'll do the same with the other roll of pastry, of biscuit dough. So there's 2 trays, and I have a few more that I will bake afterwards. So I'm going to put those into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for 15 minutes. And then I'll take them out of the oven and leave them for 5 minutes on the tray. And after that, I'll take them off the tray and transfer them to a wire rack. And when they've cooled down completely, I'll come back, show you what they look like, and I'll have a taste of them. I baked the coconut sablés for 15 minutes. I took them out of the oven and left them on the trays for 5 minutes, and then I transferred them to a wire rack. So they're just about cool now, and this is what they look like. So the coconut on top has become a little bit toasted, which is ideal. They've baked up very nicely. So I'll just break one in half so that you can see inside, and they're going to be very light textured, I have to say. I'll have a taste of this one. The biscuit has such a lovely soft texture, and part of that is due to the egg yolk that I used in making the dough. Very, very soft textured, as a sablé should be. And then you get the flavour of the coconut, a buttery flavour, but also the flavour of the coconut, and then that little bit of chew from the coconut as well. These are very, very easy to make and very tasty, I have to say. They take a bit of time because we chew them in the fridge, but that's not time that you're actually working. You just put the dough in the fridge and leave it until it's chewed through. So that's going to be it for this recipe, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.